Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, you're welcome to Sew with Mediva. And if you're a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you for sticking to my channel. So in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to sew this simple gathered waist dress with side pockets and puffy sleeves, and I achieved this style using 3 yards of African print fabric. So this tutorial is very detailed, very easy to follow, and also very beginner friendly. So if it's something you are interested in, make sure to keep watching and make sure you watch till the end so that you don't miss out on any detail. And if you find this video useful, if you find it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, share this video to your loved ones, and also put on your notification bell so that when I post new videos, you'll be notified. So let's jump right into the tutorial. So guys, I made use of 3 yards of this beautiful African print fabric. So the amount of fabric you're going to need depends on the size of the person you're working with. You're also going to need your chalk, your scissors, your tape rule, and also your lining, which is optional. You can do without a lining. So guys, this dress is going to be in 2 different parts. The upper part, which is going to be from my shoulder down to my belly button, while the lower part is going to be from my belly button down to the full length of the dress. So the full length of my dress is 38 inches. So the upper part is going to be about 18 inches, just 2 inches below my half length measurement. And then the lower part is going to be 20 inches, which is going to be the gathered part of this dress. So we're going to start with the upper part. So to get the length of your upper part, go ahead to measure from your shoulder down to where your belly button starts. That is going to be the upper part of your dress. So we're going to start with the upper part of this dress. So guys, we're going to start with the upper part of this dress, and I have the front and the back panels here. And so both fabric is in a fold of 2. The front panel is in a fold of 2 and the back is also in a fold of 2. So to get the amount of fabric to fold, go ahead to divide the biggest part of your upper body. Mine is my bust measurement. Divide it by 4. So I got 11 inches. So I added about 2 extra inches to it because of the seam allowance and because of that. So I have about 14 inches on fold there, and the back panel is 1.5 inches bigger than the front towards the center back because of I'm going to just rule it out. So after that, the length of this upper part, like I said, is 18 inches, but I added 1 extra inch to it, making 19, because I'm going to take half an inch at this upper part, and the half an inch at the lower part is going to be for joining to the gathers. So I have 18.5 inches left now, as you can see. So when I use the half an inch to join it, I'll be left with 18 inches for the upper part. So my shoulder to my half length is 16 inches, so I just came down by extra 2 inches to get the length of the upper part, because you don't want the gathers to start directly at your half length. So from that line, I'm going to take from my shoulder to my bust point. So mine is 11 inches. Go ahead to mark yours. And then the next measurement is from my shoulder to my half length, which is 16 inches. So go ahead to mark your own appropriate measurements. So go ahead to extend the lines this way. So the next thing to do is to mark the neckline. So for mine, I made use of 3 inches. So do not exceed 3.5 inches for the neckline. You can either use 3 inches or 3.5 inches. And then the depth of the back neckline, I want it to be high, so I made use of 1.5 inches. I'll go ahead to connect the points together. And the depth of the front neckline, since it's a V-shaped neckline, I came down by 7 inches. You can do 6 inches, you can do 8 inches. It just depends on what you want. So this is the front neckline. So the next thing to do is to mark the shoulder measurement. So come over to the front panel. From the closed angle, take your shoulder to shoulder measurements divided by 2. So mine is 8 inches. And from that 8 inches I just marked, I'm going to come down by my round armhole measurements divided by 2 plus 1 inch for the shoulder slope, making 9 inches. So I'm going to connect that 9 inches all the way up this way and then extend the line. So I'll take my shoulder slope now of 1 inch. So this is going to help your dress sit very well on your shoulder, and then connect it to the neck width this way. So I'll look for the midpoint of this line. So mine is 4 inches. And on this new line I marked, I'm going to place my round bust measurements divided by 4. So remember, you're taking all these measurements on the front panel alone, and then I'll connect it to form my armhole curve this way. After that, the next thing is to place the darts. So I'll come over to the half length line and place my nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2, which is 4 inches. Then I'll extend it all the way down this way. So I'll still place that same 4 inches on the bust line. The nipple to nipple measurements divided by 2. Then I'll connect all the points together this way. So for the dart intake, I'm going to do 0.75 inches on both sides of this line, on both sides of the line this way, and then I'll come over to the bust point and come down by 1.5 inches. You can do 1 inch. So for the dart intake, if you're on the small side, you can do 0.5 inches. If you're on the very big side, you can do 1 inch. So I'll go ahead to connect it all the way to the bust point this way. And you can also use a princess dart for this dress. So the next thing we want to do is to place the round body measurement. So on the bust line, I'll place my round bust measurements divided by 4, which is 11 inches, and then I'll add 1.5 inches to it for the seam allowance. And on the half length line, I'll place my round waist measurements divided by 4, which is 9 inches. I'll add the 1.5 inches for that, making 10.5 inches, and 1.5 inches for seam allowance, making 12 inches. And on this full length area, I'm going to mark the same 12 inches I have on the waistline there. I'll just go ahead to mark it. So after marking, go ahead to connect all the points together, just as you can see me doing. So let's go ahead to cut it out. So we're cutting the front and the back panels together. So when I get to the shoulder area, I'm going to add half an inch to the upper part for the joining allowance. So I came up by half of an inch, and then I'm cutting out the back neckline first. So before I separate it, I'm going to notch the dart on the front and the back panels together. So after separating, I will then cut out the front neckline. After that, this is what we have. The next thing is to eliminate some fabric from the back panel to avoid any zipper bulging. So to remove any kind of zipper bulging at the back, I'm going to come to the zipper allowance and take 0.5 inches. From the closed angle, I took 0.5 inches and I extended the line up. So I'll do the same thing all the way down and then cut it out. And then after that, I'll come over to the waistline and come up by 1 inch. And then I'll extend the line into the side this way. Just blend it in, forming a slant this way. So take note of your dart points before you cut it out. And then I'll just notch the dart areas again. So after cutting out, this is what you should have. So by doing this, your dress is going to sit very well at the back without any bulging. So this is the front panel as well. So I'm going to use these pieces now to cut out my lining. So you can do without a lining. You can just finish up the neckline of your dress, but I'm going to be using a lining for mine. So when I cut it out, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So I've gone ahead to use the fabrics to cut out the lining, and this is what we have. So we're going to start with the front part. So I'm going to place the lining on its right sides facing each other this way. And then I'll go ahead to close up the neckline. So you can decide to start from the center point so that you can get that very sharp V neckline, then stitch it all the way up. When I'm done with that, I'll leave the armhole areas opened, I'll leave the shoulders opened, and I'll close up the sides by half of an inch. So for the back, I'm also going to place my lining on the fabric, right sides facing each other this way. And then I'll close up the neckline. I'll close up the neckline. I'll close up the zipper area. I'll leave the armhole and the shoulder areas open, and I'll close up the sides. I'll repeat the same thing for the other side. Stitch the neckline, stitch the zipper area, and close the sides. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after stitching the lining to the fabric, this is what it looks like. This is the front panel and these are the back panels. So I have not turned it over to the right side yet. Before we do that, we are going to notch the seam on the neckline area. So you're going to notch the seam open so that the lining relaxes very well when you turn it over to the right side. So go ahead to notch it, making sure it doesn't get to the thread. Just make small cuts this way. So after notching, go ahead now to flip it over to the right side. So after flipping over, this is what it looks like. So you can iron it out so that the lining becomes very stable. So I'll repeat the same process for the back. I'll notch the neckline and turn it over. So after turning over the front and the back panels, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to iron this out very well so that the lining sits very well on the wrong side. So the next thing is to take in the dart, and I'm just going to mark the point where the dart is going to stop on the wrong side of my fabric, and then I would extend it this way. So this line is going to guide me on where the dart is going to stop. So remember, we already notched the dart point. I'll go ahead to just extend it up this way. Extend the notched part up this way, and then take in your dart. Go ahead to stitch it all the way down. When I'm done with that side, I'll repeat the same thing for the other side and mark out the point, and then I will stitch the dart in this way. I'll repeat the same process for the back panels, and then I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after I ironed out and took in the darts, this is what it looks like. This is the front panel. You can see the effect of the dart on the bust area, and this is what it looks like on the wrong side. And for the back panels, I also took in the darts, just that I came up to my bust point for the back. So the back dart is higher, as you can see. So we're done with the upper part of this dress. Let's move over to the lower part. So remember, the full length of this dress is 38 inches, and for this upper part I already worked with 18 inches. So I'm going to need a fabric that is 20 inches long for the lower part. So I'm going to cut out the fabric about 22 inches long because of the folding allowance. And to get the wideness of fabric for your gathers, go ahead to measure what you have on this waistline. So after I measured mine, I have 20 inches. So you can try to multiply that 20 inches by 3 or by 2. It just depends on how full you want your gathers to come out. But for mine, I'm going to cut a fabric that is 50 inches wide. So I multiplied by 2 and just added 10 inches to it for my gathers. So my fabric is going to be 50 inches wide and 22 inches long. So I'm going to cut it for both the front and the back panels, and then I'll show you guys. So I've gone ahead to cut out the fabric I'll be using to form the gathers. And like I said, the wideness of this fabric is 50 inches while the length is 22 inches. So if you have a sewing machine that can create gathers, go ahead to gather the fabric till you get the length of the upper part, which is 20 inches for me. So gather the fabric together to form 20 inches at the upper part and then attach it to it. But for mine, I'm going to just gather the fabric as I'm attaching the two together. So before we join the upper and the lower parts together, we're going to attach the fabric we'll be using as the pocket. We're going to attach it to this fabric, and I've gone ahead to cut it out already. So from this waistline, I'm going to come down by 2 inches. So that's where my pocket is going to start from, and I'm going to pick one fabric I have cut out. So the wideness of my pocket is 7 inches and the depth of my pocket is 10 inches. How deep you want your pocket to be. So I'm going to place it on this fabric now, the fabric we want to use to form the gathers. I'm going to place the pocket on it this way and stitch it all the way down. So I'll go over to the other side of the fabric, come down by 2 inches from the upper part, and then I will stitch down the pocket all the way down. When I'm done with that, I'll repeat the same thing for the fabric I want to use as my gathers for the back panels. So I'll place the pocket fabric on it, right sides facing each other. So come down by 2 inches again, place the fabric of the pocket on it, right sides facing each other, and stitch it down. Do the same thing for the other side. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys. After stitching the fabrics to the sides, this is what it looks like. So you should have something that looks like this, and on the other side, this is what it also looks like. So the next thing is to create the gathers and join it to the upper part. So I'm going to first of all fold this fabric for the gathers into 2 equal parts to get the midpoint. So when I get the midpoint, I'm going to just mark it out with my chalk or notch it. After notching, I'll get the upper part and also fold it into 2 equal parts this way and mark out the center, notch the center as well. So after notching, I'm going to then place the 2 points where I notched facing each other, making sure that the right side of the fabrics are facing each other this way. Place it on it this way. So you can use your pins to merge the 2 points you notched together. So after merging, go ahead to, from that center point, go ahead to gather the fabric you have into the waistline. So gather this side into the waistline, just gather the fabric as you are stitching, and when you are done with that side, go ahead to repeat the same thing on the other side. Gather all the fabric you have into the waistline. So by doing this, you're going to have equal amount of gathers on the 2 sides of the dress so that one side does not appear fuller than the other. So gather it into it and stitch it together all the way down. So like I said, you can create your gathers even before you join it. And for the back, I've gone ahead to divide the fabric into 2. The fabric we want to use for the gather, so I have 25 inches for both sides. So I'm going to place it this way and just gather it all the way down, making sure the side that has the pocket fabric is towards the side of the dress. Place it this way and gather it. So when I'm done creating the gathers, I'll show you guys the next thing to do. So after forming the gathers while joining the upper and the lower parts together, this is what it looks like. So you can see how the gathers came out, and this is what the pocket fabric looks like on the side as well. And for the back, I have also created the gathers while joining the upper and the lower parts together, and this is what we have. So if you want your gathers fuller, you can use a wider fabric for yours. So the next thing we want to do is to join the front and the back panels together. So I'm going to open up the front this way, and then I'm going to place one side of the back on it this way. So make sure you merge the waistline areas together, and then starting from the shoulder, I will merge the 2 together, fabric to fabric and lining to lining, and stitch it all the way down to give that neat finishing on the inside. And when I'm done with that, I'll come over to the side. So using my remaining 1-inch seam allowance, I'm going to stitch the 2 sides together. Make sure you merge the waistline areas together, stitch it down depending on the amount of seam allowance you took out. And when you get to this point, raise your footer up, turn the fabric and close up the pockets all the way around it. And when you get to this other side, you raise the footer up again, and then you turn your fabric and stitch it closed all the way down. When I'm done with that, I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll join the shoulder areas together first, fabric to fabric and lining to lining. After that, I'll merge the waistline areas together and the pocket fabrics together. I'll merge it together this way. You can use your pins to hold it down. After that, I'll use my remaining 1-inch seam allowance to close it up. When I get to that point, I'll close up the pocket and then I'll stitch it closed all the way down. After that, I'll also close up the back of the dress. Using my 1-inch zipper allowance, I'm going to just stitch it down all the way to the point where I want my zipper to stop, which is 2 inches below the waistline. So when I'm done doing all of that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after I joined the shoulder areas, this is what it looks like on the wrong side. You can see how neat it came out. And I've also gone ahead to join the sides together, and I closed up the back just like I explained earlier. So this is the part where we're going to insert the zipper. I just came down by 3 inches from the waistline. So this is the zipper we'll be working with. So remember, we have 1 inch for our zipper allowance because we already used half of an inch to turn over the lining. So I'm going to flip my dress to the wrong side so that you guys can understand better. So these are the pockets on the side. I forgot to show you guys. These are the pockets. So what I'm going to do now is to open up the zipper and fold in the 1-inch zipper allowance. So I'm going to place the wrong side of the zipper on it this way, and then I'll take one of the zipper I'll fold in the edge this way and then stitch it into the zipper allowance all the way down. So stitch it all the way down to the zipper allowance where you want the zipper to stop. Stitch it into it this way. So when I'm done with that, I'll come over to the other side. I'll place the zipper on the right side of the fabric and fold the edge, and then I'll stitch it all the way into it. So when I'm done inserting the zipper, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after inserting the zipper to the back of the dress, this is what we have. You can see how neat it came out, and this is the front of the dress. So the last and final thing we want to do is to cut out the sleeve. I'm making use of a simple puffy sleeves. So moving over to the sleeve, we're going to be cutting the two sleeves together, and I have the fabrics in a fold of 2. So to get the amount of fabric to fold, it depends on how full you want your sleeve to be. So for mine, I divided my round armhole measurement by 2, which is 9 inches. I added 1 inch for seam allowance, making 10 inches, and 4 extra inches to it for the puffy effect. So if you want yours fuller, you can add 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches. It just depends on how full you want your puff to appear. And for the length of my sleeve, I want it to be 13 inches, but I cut out 15 inches. So the remaining 2 inches is going to be for the elastic casing at the base. So the first thing you want to do, this is the closed angle of the fabric. I'll come in by the 4 inches extra I added. So just take out whatever inches you added to your sleeve. So I'll be working with the remaining part of the fabric now. And then I'll come down by my cap's height. So to get your cap's height, divide your round bust measurements by 12 and add half of an inch. After that, I'll go ahead to just form a curve from this line this way. Just curve your hand slightly this way for the sleeve. So this is basically all for the sleeve. Let's go ahead now to cut it out. So after cutting out, before I separate it, I'm going to notch the crown of the sleeve this way, of both sleeves, and also notch the point where I want the elastic casing to start. After that, I'll go ahead to fold in the base twice, making sure the fold is stopping at the notched point, and stitch it all the way down. So this is going to be where my elastic will pass through. I'll do the same thing for the other sleeve. I'll fold it in twice and stitch it all the way down. So when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after folding the base of the fabric, this is what it looks like. So for the other sleeve, I have already finished it up. I have inserted the elastic already. So I'm going to show you guys how I came about this. I'm going to explain to you guys using this one. So this is my elastic band. So go ahead to measure around your bicep. Whatever you got, just subtract 2 inches from it and cut out your elastic band. And then use your pin to pass it into the elastic casing this way. Make sure you take note of the other edge so that it doesn't run into the casing. So when it gets to this edge, go ahead to stitch it down on this side and also stitch it down on this other side. After stitching, I'm going to fold the fabric into 2 this way, right sides facing each other, and then I would close it up using 1 inch. When I'm done with that, I'll show you guys how to insert the sleeve. So I'll show you guys how to insert the sleeve for one side while I'll do the other one off camera. So the first thing is to flip your dress over to the wrong side, and then take your sleeve. Remember the part of the sleeve where we notched, the upper part of the sleeve where we notched. I'm going to then pass it in through the armhole. So this is the right side of the sleeve. Pass it in through the armhole of your dress this way. So with that, the right side of the dress and the right side of the sleeve will be facing each other. So match the notched part of your sleeve to the shoulder joint in this way, and then use your pin to hold it down. So make sure the 2 points are on each other, and then use your pin to hold it down. And then the part of the sleeve where you joined on the lower part, go ahead to merge it to the side joining of your dress this way, and use your pin to also secure it. So after holding it down, I'm going to stitch that shoulder area together. I'll stitch it down here, and I'll also stitch the lower part. After stitching, I'm going to then gather the remaining part of the fabric, the remaining part of the sleeve now, and then attach it to the armhole. So you can see we have a lot of excess. So gather the remaining part of the fabric that you have there into the sleeve opening this way, to achieve your puffy sleeve, and then stitch it all the way around it. So I'll insert the other sleeve, I'll finish up the base of the dress, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. So after inserting the sleeve, this is what it looks like. You can see how beautiful this came out. This is the other sleeve, and this is what the dress looks like. This is the back. And I also finished up the base of the dress by folding in twice and stitching all around. So this is all we end this video for today, guys. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you learned something new. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.